عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. طلابنا الأعزاء، نبدأ اليوم المحاضرة الثانية من النيوتريشن. إن شاء الله تكونون حاضرين. يلا نبدأ. Today's subject is nutrients. We will discuss some terms and definitions, and we have mathematical issues too. We start with organic. The term organic, it is a substance or nutrient that contains the element carbon, while the term inorganic is a substance or nutrient that does not contain carbon. The term organic nowadays is commonly used to describe food foods that are grown with little or no use of chemicals. Carbohydrates, lipid, proteins, and vitamins, while minerals and water are inorganic. They do not contain carbon atom. Next slide is the table for elements in the 6 classes of nutrients. You see the 5 main elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and minerals, and its availability in all classes, the 6 classes of nutrients. Essential nutrients are nutrients a person must obtain from food because the body cannot make them for itself in sufficient quantity to meet physiological needs. It's also called indispensable nutrients. About 40 nutrients are currently known to be essential for human beings. We discuss now calories. Calories are units used for energy measurement to 1,000 calories. Its abbreviation is kcalorie or KCAL. 1 calorie is the amount of heat necessary to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree centigrade. And publications intended for consumers use the term of calorie with a letter small c to represent the unit of kilocalories. This table, the next slide, is for kilocalories by values of energy nutrient, where you see carbohydrate has 4 kilocalories per gram, while fat has 9 kilocalories per gram, and proteins got 4 kilocalories per gram. Note that alcohol contributes 7 kilocalories per gram that can be used for energy, but it is not considered as a nutrient because it interferes with body's growth, maintenance, and repair. To calculate the energy available from a food, multiply the number of grams of carbohydrates, protein, and fats by 4, 4, and 9 respectively. Then add the results together. For example, 1 slice of bread with 1 tablespoon of peanut butter on it contains 16 grams of carbohydrate and 70 grams of protein and 9 grams of fats. So you see this mathematical issue: 16 grams of carbohydrate in this slide, 16 grams. of carbohydrate is equal to 64 kilocalories, while 7 grams of proteins equals to 28 kilocalorie, and 9 grams of fat is equal to 81 kilocalories. Summation total is 173 kilocalories. إذا تريدون واحد منكم يشغل شير مع المحاضرة ممكن، حتى الزملاء اللي ما عندهم المحاضرة يشوفون التفاصيل. In this slide we have the term dietary reference intakes. اوكي داود، السلايد اللي بعده. Dietary reference intake. It's defined as a set of nutritional reference values that applies to healthy people. It is for most nutrients, it consists of 4 values. Number 1, estimated average requirement. Number 2, recommended dietary allowance. Number 3, adequate intake. Number 4, tolerable upper intake level. We will take the definition of each one. Number 1, estimated average requirements. It's defined as the average daily nutrient intake level estimated to meet the requirement of half of the healthy individuals in a particular life stage or gender group. Number 2, recommended dietary allowance. It's defined as the average daily amount of nutrient considered adequate to meet nutrient needs of healthy individuals in a particular life stage and gender group. While number 3, adequate intake, is defined as the average daily amount of nutrient that appears sufficient to maintain nutrient needs of healthy individuals. It is used as a guide for nutrient intake when the recommended dietary allowance cannot be determined. Number 4, tolerable upper intake level. This is defined as the maximum daily amount of the nutrients that appear safe for most healthy people and has no adverse health effect to individuals in a particular life stage and gender group. حول السلايد اللي بعده. Okay. Now the term estimated energy requirement, EER. It is the intake predicted to maintain a healthy weight and is defined as the average dietary energy intake that is predicted to maintain energy balance in a healthy adult. This dietary intake is defined by a person's age, gender, weight, height, and the level of physical activity that is consistent with good health. Thus, the EER for an active person is higher than the EER for an inactive person, even if all other factors like age, gender, and so forth are the same. Now, the term acceptable macronutrient distribution range. It is a range of intakes for a particular energy source that is associated with reduced risk of chronic disease while providing adequate intake of essential nutrients. This table shows the AMDR for carbohydrate and fat and proteins. Now we talk about proteins and amino acids. Proteins are large, complex molecules made up of amino acids found as essential components of all living cells. Although proteins are best known as a part of muscle mass, they are in fact critical components of all tissues of the human body, including bones, blood, and hormones. The proteins in our bodies are made from a combination of building blocks called amino acids. Also, the proteins are the main structural materials in the body, where it forms 1/6 of the body, where they form about 17% of body weight. They form major parts of bones and muscles, and they form important part of blood, cell membranes, enzymes, hormones, and immune factors. And they provide energy for body and average 4 kilocalories per gram, as we talked before. The human body contains 30,000 different kinds of proteins, and only about 3,000 kinds have been studied. Now we talk about amino acids. They are smaller units of proteins. They are found in food and stated to be needed by human body. They are divided into two main types. Number one, essential amino acids. Number two, non-essential amino acids. The essential amino acids are not produced by the body, therefore they must be obtained from food, while the non-essential amino acids can be manufactured by the body in sufficient quantity and therefore do not need to be consumed regularly in our diet. This table shows the essential amino acids. تريدون تحفظون منها كم مثال وماخذيها انتم بالبايوكيمستري بصف ثاني على الاكثر، بس يعني مجرد للتذكير، ما شرط تحفظون اسامي مالتها. وهاي الاخ سلايد الاخ مثال على non essential amino acids. Now the function of proteins. Number one, proteins contribute to cell growth, repair, and maintenance, where RBCs live for only 3 to 4 months and then are replaced by new cells that are produced in bone marrow, so they need protein. The cells lining of intestinal tract, GIT, are replaced every 3 to 6 days, so they need proteins. Number two, proteins act as enzymes and hormones. Example, the enzyme phosphofructokinase break down the glucose and use it for energy during exercise, while insulin hormone is a hormone facilitates the transport of glucose into cells. Also, we have another hormones, glucagon and thyroid hormones. Number three, proteins maintain fluid and electrolyte balance. You know, if some imbalance in the proteins, as insufficiency of protein, we will have edema. If you remember oncotic pressure change, it will cause edema. Number four, proteins maintain acid-base balance. By buffering acids and bases, proteins maintain acid-base balance and the blood pH. Number five, proteins maintain a strong immune system. Antibodies, or we call immunoglobulins, if you heard about it, are special proteins that are critical components of the immune system. Number six, proteins serve as an energy source. Certain amino acids can be converted into glucose via gluconeogenesis, if you remember it in biochemistry. Number seven, proteins assist in the transport and storage of nutrients. Example, transferrin is a transport protein which carries iron in the body, while ferritin is an example of storage protein. It is the compound in which iron is stored in the liver. Now we have situations of protein supplementation. We mean the situations that require protein supplementation. Number one, during a growth phase of infancy. Number two, if we donate blood. Number three, when we have excessive menstruation in females. Number four, hemorrhage after an accident. Number five, destruction of tissues as due to burn. Number six, wasting diseases as TB. Number seven, pregnancy and lactation. All these conditions need protein supplementation. Now, protein requirement for vulnerable groups. Number one, during pregnancy, increased by about 14 grams per day. Number two, during lactation, it's increased by about 25 grams per day during 0 to 6 months. While number three, young children 0 to 6 years require proportionally more proteins for each kilogram of body weight than adults. This is the lecture for today. If you have any questions, thank you for listening. هسه راح افتح انميوت ياهو اللي يريد ممكن يتكلم. اللي ما منتبه خليه تنتبه، انفتح الميوت ترى يا بنات. اللي ما تريد تحكي تسوي ميوت لنفسها. انا فتحت الميوت مال الكل. اذا اكو واحد عنده سؤال شيء اكو مجال 5 دقائق للاسئله. حتى البركه.